This video is an introduction to the targets functionality in Fullcast. I'll highlight the key functionality that allows you to run both a top-down and bottom-up target setting process. When you enter the Fullcast app, the first thing you'll notice is that targets are available in territories, teams, and product. Target planning in the teams module is used when your focus is on associating a target with an individual person. A very common example of this is when you have a quota that's associated with an individual rep. Setting the target in teams is a way to codify the fact that an individual is responsible for that target. Moving on to target setting in the territories module. This approach is used when you're setting the target against the territory, in which case you would be inclined to use data from your territory composition, such as potential, to ensure the target is attainable. Today, we'll use the territories module to demo the target's functionality, but it works exactly the same here as in the teams module. So here you can see we have a number of different types of targets that we've built out at the all companies level of the territory hierarchy. Because quota is such a universal type of target, we'll take a look at the AE quota here. When we view the details, you'll see at the top we have three visualizations. The one on the left is a representation of our progress on the top-down target month over month, with green being what was attained and red being the gap between our target and actual. In the center, we have targets versus actuals year to date, and then on the right, there's a bar to show our overall percent of the goal that we have attained. When we go to edit the target details, we can see the configuration form. The first section has the basic configuration. First, we have the name of the target, AE quota. Next, we select what type of target it is, whether it's a scalar, which is a static number that is not bound by a time period, or a time series, which takes a target and distributes it across the year. The next box is for actuals, which is where you select what metrics you'll use to reflect the attainment on the target. Since this is a quota target, we'll be using our bookings as the actual. Next, you have the fiscal year. And then you can select whether your commission will be split or overlay. Finally, the group is simply a way to create organization on the targets page here in the app. The second section is where you define the goal. There are two ways that we'll talk about when it comes to defining goals. What we have here is a formula where we've leveraged data from Fullcast to calculate our target. The other option is to manually input a number. If you have a board and a finance team saying, hey, you got to hit 100 million this year, you could type that in manually here. But to go back to the formula, let's recreate that. So we select bookings, we select the fiscal year, and we specify what level of the territory hierarchy. So here we're choosing the total bookings for the company from last year, and we're multiplying it by 1.3 to reflect the goal to increase bookings 30% over last year. Now, for the seasonality here, we've looked at historical bookings data from the last 3 years to determine how our bookings typically come in over the year and create a seasonality schedule. We've applied that seasonality to our time series quota target. So that's the way that we've set up this AE quota target. Now let's take a look at this table. You can see here that we have a top-down target at the top line, and then we have a bottoms-up section here as well. Fullcast allows you to do a lot of different adjustments to the target, but we're going to focus in on two aspects of this, adding an uplift as well as accounting for ramping reps. So to see how we've added an uplift, we'll start by looking at the all companies level where we simply have our top-down target. When you go to a AMER, you can see that a line appears here for an adjustment to the top-down target. As we look into this further, you'll see there's a change in the goal formula. Essentially, what we've done is copied the target figure from the initial top-down, and we've multiplied it by 1.1 as our way of creating a 10% uplift on this target before we distribute it down to a AMER. When we expand the bottom-up section here, you can see some red numbers where we aren't hitting our goals. And a lot of this is stemming from SMB. So if we take a look down into SMB, we can see that we have made a bottom-up adjustment to the target here. And in the adjustment section, we're accounting for ramp by inputting this productivity profile. This productivity profile has actually been populated here for us based on the fact that we have a to-be-hired assignment at the SMB region. So the percentages indicate our expected productivity due to the presence of a ramping rep. Now, targets is obviously very complex, and we have just barely touched the tip of the iceberg here to provide a high-level introduction on how targets work in Fullcast and the varied functionality you have to enable you to run a dynamic target setting process. Stay tuned for more information in future videos.